Welcome to Storytelling. This week's guest is a specialist in cross-border import and export gateway e-commerce logistics. He has spent his entire career within cross-border, founding Customs Clearance Ltd in 1999 and spearheading the company through 23 years of development, expansion and innovation. Under his leadership, CCL has earned a global reputation for service excellence, flexibility, responsiveness and expertise. Following an acquisition process, CCL is today part of the prestigious global Lenton Group, who also owns DPD. Reinventing the wheel, we hear about his latest venture and the storytelling behind his success. Please welcome Rudee Bertie. Hello, Rudee, and welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Debbie, how you doing?
Rudee, you recently sold your business and you're doing amazing things now. Can you tell us a bit behind the story of how you started your business and where you are now?
So I started a business back in 1999. It's a supply chain business. I've always been involved in the freight forwarding industry. I'm a trained customs broker, working at Heathrow Airport for the majority of my career. And in 1999, me and another colleague, we saw things kind of different to the traditional forwarding. And maybe it was time for us to put our stamp in the marketplace, start our own business and see how far we got. We took it all the way from a two-man business to having one office, like a box room in someone else's office at the airport, into owning our own warehouses, employing over hundreds of people, etc., and becoming the market leader in gateway customs clearance and supply chain logistics. We were known for that throughout Europe. So when you become a business of that size, you always come under the radar of the bigger companies because now you're taking market space. But it never kind of occurred to me that I wanted to sell any of the business at the time. But it occurred to me that I wanted to grow the business. But my partner at the time, in 2016, he decided that he wanted to retire from the business because he was 7 years older than me. I still had a lot of life, a lot of energy still left in me. But we found some buyers for his shares. They came in, they were my new partners. They were good, they were decent, and I got no complaints there. But then you get into a situation where it's not the original partners that you had. Some of the dynamics are different. People have different ideas. They weren't bad people, but they weren't necessarily the founder that I founded a business with. And we were going in different directions. I remember talking to my old boss, who was a little bit of a mentor to me. And then he said to me, how do you feel now you got these other people involved in the business? I said, well, to be fair, they don't really get involved in my business because they don't really understand it. But I said, what about a boardroom level? I said, yeah, that's a different story, right? So in the boardroom level, it always gets to the point where you can't just write your own checks. With me and my co-founder, our motto was, if it's good for me and it's good for you, it's good for the business. When you go into a boardroom, that it's not that kind of talk anymore. It's all about spreadsheets. It's all about market share. It's all about all this kind of stuff. And it's all the kind of stuff that I don't really think too much about because that's not me. That kind of clips the, if you want, the creativeness of what you're trying to achieve. Because I've always been a believer, if you follow your heart, you follow the creativity of what you're trying to achieve, then everything else will follow. Whereas these guys, you go into a boardroom and it will be, okay, we're now in September. We need a forecast for 2025. You know what I mean? But I can't give you a forecast for 25 when we're not even finishing 24 yet. So then you go in and you say, okay, realistically, I'm going to give you a forecast. We might be able to do 5%. So you hand it over, right, 5%. They come back, you're not being ambitious enough. I'm being realistic. So reality versus their spreadsheet is two totally different things. That was kind of wearing me down a little bit, not to the effect where I just wanted to jack everything in, but I figured I need to make moves for myself because I've kept the company. The way I looked at it, you got the company and all the people in it, and it's like you're growing a family. And I built this, if you want, this empire, and with all the people in it and all these different departments, and coming from a two-man operation where it's just me and this other guy talking things out over a drink down the pub or whatever. That's our board meeting. Now you have to have minutes. You got to have this, you got to have that. And now you got all these people that you're responsible for. And you get to know their children. You get invited to their parties and they'll come to you for advice and all kinds of stuff. It's nice.
Like you mentioned, you built a family around your business, like all your employees, you were very close knit, weren't you?
Yeah.
So how did that relationship change as you were going through the feelings of, do I still want this?
Well, this is the thing. I got to the point where I figured, look, I now got to be thinking about myself and my family. Because when you're building a business and you want to build something which is successful, you have to be in it or you're not in it. So the business has to come first. The business that you have or the business that you build is going to dictate the lifestyle that you've created. And I'm talking from a business point of view, not going for a job or just building a career, but from a business element, right? You're building something which is your vision, and you don't just want it to work, but you know it's going to work. So you put everything in it to make it work, like financially committed, like wholeheartedly committed in it. So mind committed, soul committed, everything you got in there is committed. So everything you talk, you eat, sleep, breathe the business. And this is 7 days a week. So you'd wake up in the morning, you go to the gym, you'll be thinking about the business. You leave the gym, you jump in your car, you take a shower, you go straight to work. And that's like 7 days a week around the clock for years. So when you think about it, my family came after the business. The business always came first. I had to find time to fit the family life and family schedule into whatever. So there was sacrifices that had to be made. And even though I was around a lot of the time, but when the phone went and there was a job to do, bang, I'll see you later. You go and do the job, then you come back. Yeah. So I was going to say, so having built that culture, that was the culture that I built. So having that, if you want, as a family business, building that culture, it was kind of hard to come to a decision to sort of like say, right, it's time to leave. You guys need to do what you're doing. I need to do what I'm doing because I wanted to do some other things.
So you made a very bold decision to move on. And what did you go on to do next?
Oh, you know what was a blessing and a curse actually was this whole Brexit situation. So Brexit, and then what followed on from that, we had like a combination of Brexit, then it was like lockdown with the pandemic. So knowing that Brexit is going to happen, I wanted to see the business through Brexit and to see that the new change in the new Europe. So that's what I wanted to do. That I felt like I had a responsibility, but always in my mind, I knew that there's going to come a time where I wanted to leave the business. So I decided once we came through the pandemic and the business was back on its feet, then I was going to leave. And so that's what happened. I left. I actually left in May 2022. So then I decided I'm going to take time out. That time out lasted maybe like 6 weeks because
wow. Okay.
My idea of time out was I'm taking 6 months. Don't talk to me. Don't call me. I'm out.
So what happened in that 6 weeks? Did someone knock on your door?
There's a couple of senior managers that worked for me, especially in the marketing department. And because all throughout the lockdown, we kind of like went viral online. Because we couldn't go and see anybody, we decided that we're going to go to you because everybody's on Zoom calls, Teams and whatever, Skype. And that's the only way you can really communicate. So we communicate with customers, partners. So I decided that we're going to create a TV channel and we stick it on YouTube, or we create our apps and we stick it through our apps and we just push it out to customers on a newsletter site or whatever. So that's what we did. And it managed to generate a lot of interest and we was winning business through it. But then when I decided to leave, the guys in the marketing is like, you can't leave, man. You can't leave. So this 6 weeks, they came back, "Oh, you can't leave." I said, well, I've left. You know what I mean? It's too late. I've been thinking, I've got this idea. What about if we took the marketing side away from the business and we set up our own thing, but you come in with us? And I said, nah, I'm not feeling that. No. Anyway, so we was going back and forward, having these discussions. Then I thought, yeah, it sounds like a good idea. So the first instance was that we set up the independent marketing business, which had YouTube-y sort of stuff, podcasting, that sort of business. And what we do is we'll align ourselves with the industry, the supply chain industry, and we'll partner up with the supply chain industry, and we'll go to events and we'll interview people live, get them on camera, talk their story, promote them in the industry, etc., etc. And that's still running today. That's one element of it. So that took 6 weeks to get me out of my house, back into work mode and everything. It's quite exciting because it's something new. I'm still involved in an industry and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then for me, I still got more to do. There's other areas that I want to tackle. And now it's got me thinking. So then all the years that I used to be in business, I used to travel quite a lot, different countries, different events. But there was never one event that I went to that ticked the boxes that I needed to tick in order to win business. So I'll give you an example. See, if I went to a freight forwarding conference, you'll just have industry people like freight forwarders. They could be from all over the world, like freight forwarders. Some of them will just do ocean, some will just do air. My biggest influence on the industry was I was heavily involved in what we call our e-commerce supply chain. So your e-commerce supply chain, the first one that comes to everyone's mind is Amazon. You go on Amazon, make your orders, bang, turns up a couple of days, next day, same day sometimes. People like me work in the background to make that happen. But when you go to a regular industry freight event conference, they're not necessarily doing the e-commerce side of stuff. So you have to go to a different event.
Yeah.
When you go to this different event, yeah, they might just be doing e-commerce, but it's all retail. But in this one, it might just be all about the transport. This one might be, and so there's never one event that kind of had everything under one umbrella that suited what I desired as a business, really. So that's why I spent a lot of time moving around. So I thought, you know what, man, I'm going to create this. So I'm going to create one event that encompasses all of these different elements. So this one event, which I'm going to create, is going to be, I'm thinking like the consumer. So the person sitting on their keyboard making that order on Amazon, for argument's sake. I'm going to be thinking as the brand, how am I going to get to market? I'm going to be thinking of the utility services, as in the warehousing, the transport functions, customs, the compliance, the taxes, the duties, and all this kind of stuff. And then I'm doing a total 360 and be thinking about the user's experience. I mean, that's back to the consumer. And so I'm thinking about this and I'm like, okay, who can I approach on this? So I went to the biggest freight forwarding network out there, and I happen to know them. And I've done some work with them in the past. So I went back and I approached these guys and I said, look, we should do this. And cut a long story short, they say, yeah, brilliant, let's do it. And so on the 11th hour, it was one of those deals that didn't quite go through because there was a difference of opinion when it come to the share offering. And neither party was willing to budge on that. And so we decided, okay, shake hands or walk away. And so I was thinking, yeah, man, I'm going to do this myself anyway, because it's my idea. I'm not just going to sit on the idea and not do it. And they loved it so much anyway, they're going to do it anyway. And then just out of the blue, I got this phone call from industry friend of mine And he said, hey, Rudee, he said, yeah, I heard you left CCL. What are you up to? And I said, well, actually, I've just been speaking to these other people. This is my idea, blah, blah, blah. They loved it so much, but I had to walk away from it because the deal offering weren't good. And he said, well, why don't you do it with me? And so that's how it was born. So we created this business called NEX, which is the neutral e-commerce experience. We had a very, very soft launch of the event in Greece, a place called Costa Navarino. Invited maybe about 50 odd delegates. This was like, say, May last year. So in October last year, we had our first inaugural conference event in Amsterdam. And we had 120 delegates, right, over 2 days, which was pretty good. And the takeaway from that was this type of event is needed. And the reason why I say that is going back to what I originally said, we want to try and get all of the relevant services and propositions under one roof rather than having to go here, and everywhere. So we're still on that road coming to this year now. And it's about building up. We've done a few things this year already in order to keep the momentum going. We've had some very light entertainment events in Miami, for example, where we'd hire a yacht and invite delegates onto the yacht and have panel discussions for the first hour and keynote talk in that first hour. Then after that, you're on the yacht, drink, dine, wine, socialize, whatever. You're stuck on a boat for 5 hours, basically. So you can't not engage with other people. The final count was about 72 people on that yacht. Now, we could have had probably maybe up to 100. When we booked the first boat, we booked it for about 60 people. But then we're just getting inundated. Then we had this short list. Then it was like, oh, come on, we need a bigger boat. And it worked out better anyway, because you didn't have all these people squashed up in this one place. And then there's been some other events that we've done, again in Amsterdam, again in Greece, and in Asia, like parts of China. So there's stuff that we've been doing in order to captivate that type of audience that we're looking for. But then this September, we're building up to the annual. So we're looking to grow it again. So we're looking to have not 120, but probably double that amount, if not treble that amount. And it's growing. Word's getting out there.
So you've been really successful in terms of thinking back to the original business that you set up and how you grew that business to doing this new venture, even if you were dragged kicking and screaming into it. But what would you say have been the key elements to your success?
I'm a big advocate of delegation. So even though I have a clear focus or a clear definition of where I want to be and what I want to achieve, you need to surround yourself with the right people to make that happen. So you might be the driver, but you need some co-pilots, because if you're straddling off the path, you need certain people to keep you in check. Your strength is someone else's weakness. So I might have a clear definition of I need to be doing this, but how do I get there? I think you have to be a people's person in terms of you have to understand that not everybody's like you. So even though I want to go 100 miles an hour, there's going to be somebody in that room that's going to say, we can't do that, right? You got to be, well, why can't we do it? And they got to be able to tell you the reason why. You can't have people in there which are all like yes people. What do you think about this? Yeah, it's brilliant, brilliant. When it's not brilliant. And they go down the pub and they're telling their friends, I had a really bad day at work. My boss made me do this. My boss made me do that. Whereas the boss didn't make you do anything. The boss asked you your opinion and you said it was brilliant. So everybody can't be the same. You got to surround yourself with people that also think for themselves. The other thing in my success, not to micromanage. You give people certain tasks to do, let them get on with it. We come back and then we deal with what we need to deal with as a team. But it's teamwork. You go away, do your bit. You go out and do your bit. Allow me to do my bit. Then we'll come back. We've all done our bit. Now we can move forward.
Rudee, you have very unique skills as an individual. What would you say your strengths are And how could others learn from those strengths?
Challenges. I love a challenge. To hear no, to me, that's you're feeding me with the ability to want to overcome what it is that you feel that I can't do. So challenges. You put a challenge in front of me, I'll deal with the challenge. You tell me there's something that can't be done, I'll be like, well, why not? One of the things that I used to do in the business was all the time, I used to test the industry and push the boundaries. So where it was, well, you can't do this, well, why not? Because okay, well, let's find a way where we can do it. So you're not breaking the law, you're not bending the rules, but you're working within the rules and regulations, but you're finding an alternative way to do it, basically. So you got to be self-motivating. In the industry that I'm in, if you're not self-motivating, you're not going to succeed. You have to have like personality as well. So the personality stroke character side of stuff. One thing which I learned a while ago is that your personality is always going to be your personality. My personality is I don't change my personality. The situation around my personality might change, right? I would walk into a room confident. I'm not walking to a room non-confident, otherwise I'm not going into the room. I'm going to walk into that room confident. And regardless of whether it turns negative while I'm in there, you would never know that. You're only going to know that if you're sitting in the car with me going home and I'm just there all like, what the hell just happened here? The same way I'm walking in, the same way I'm walking out. What I internalize is what I internalize. You're not seeing that on my face. You're just seeing the same character.
What takeaway would you like the audience to have from our conversation?
If you're looking to grow a business and you could be struggling with the direction that you're going in, there's a few hurdles that's going to be put in the way. You need to have perseverance. And I know it's easier said than done, but you got to remember, whatever you're looking at doing from a business point of view, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. There's a reason why everyone's not getting into that type of business, entrepreneurial or whatever that business is. There's a reason why, because it might look all nice from the outside, all bright. Oh, this guy, this woman, they're running their own business. But you don't see what goes in to sustaining that business. So you need to persevere with the business. Every day is not going to be a bad day. Every day is not going to be a good day. When you have the good times, you save. When you have the bad times, you have like a recovery backup. So you have to be patient, determined, self-motivated. But one of the most important things that you need to have, you need to keep on creating your roadmap. And that roadmap is your business vision. Your roadmap is, if you're looking at, I don't know, 3 months, right? Create a roadmap for 90 days. Because once you get to that 90 days, you're going to hit like a benchmark. Then you're going to go for another 90 days. Then you're going to hit another benchmark. Then within that time, you're going to understand where you could have made some differences, maybe some adjustments. You're going to understand maybe if you could to get things to where you need it to get to. You're going to know that. If you just go into it thinking, right, that's it, bang. Oh man, it's all gone wrong. And you've got no idea where it's gone wrong because you're not focused on that 90-day plan or you're not focused on your roadmap. Right? You take the tube from where you live today, you know where you're going to, but if you don't concentrate, then you're going to end up somewhere totally different. It's the same. You have to concentrate on where it is. Every day is a concentration day. Tick that box, move on. Tick that box, move on. Right? The other thing as well is have your vision, your roadmap, follow the passion. Everything else will follow. right? So obviously you go into business because you want to be a successful business person. You know, it's all about making money, etc., right? However, if that's your main and only focus, I can give you a business plan tomorrow, but it's not going to be sustainable. But if you're looking for a sustainable business plan, and it's your business plan, it's your vision, it's your dream, follow that dream. You're gonna know where you're gonna make the money in it. But don't make the money the reason why you start the business or the reason why you fail the business.
Wise words, Rudee. Rudee, thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast.
That's all right. It's all cool. It's been a long time coming.
If you would like further details about Rudee, then please follow links in the show notes.